Scarcity and choice. How do we economists analyze the facts of resource and commodity scarcity and of individual choice? Let's go. Remember from last time that using the market as a societal calculating mechanism for allocating resources and commodities, for deciding what will be produced, how it will be produced, and to whom it will then be allocated, that creates enormous benefits, a more than five-fold amplification of productivity relative to those 20th century societies that tried to avoid using the market as a societal allocation mechanism. Why is the market such a good institution at these tasks? We are going to try to think this through like an economist, which means we are going to work with economic models and thought experiments. We are going to set up a deliberately oversimplified, a ridiculously oversimplified situation, a toy world. We are then going to analyze it to death in the hope that the principles revealed from the logical and empirical operation of the toy world will in fact have much broader application to the real world. So let us set up a grossly oversimplified economy. It will have only 10 people in it. It will have only 2 commodities in it. Our commodities will be espresso and yoga lessons. Our people will be Black Widow from the Avengers, along with Captain America. Will be Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones. We will have Hannah Horvath and Adam Sackler from Girls. We will have Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jerry Brown from California Politicians. We will have Beyonce and Macklemore from Pop Artists. And we will have a Lego character, Wild Style, from my cousin Phil Lord's forthcoming Lego movie, opening in a couple of weeks. Those are the people in our toy economy, and they do nothing but drink espressos and give or take individual yoga lessons. 5 of them are potential yoga students: Wild Style, Beyonce, Macklemore, Adam Sackler, and Jerry Brown. After each of their names, you have a number. The number is about how much they enjoy, would like to take, want to take a yoga lesson. If you offered Wild Style a choice between taking a yoga lesson and drinking 21 more espressos, she would choose to drink 21 more espressos. If you offered her a choice between taking a yoga lesson and drinking 19 more espressos, she would prefer to take the yoga lesson. She thinks that would be more fun. At 20, she'd be on the fence. Similarly, we have 5 yoga teachers: Black Widow, Tyrion Lannister, Captain America, Hannah Horvath, and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, the numbers after them are the reverse of the numbers after the yoga students. They tell you exactly how unpleasant or how much they would rather do other things than teach yoga lessons. Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you ask him to teach a yoga lesson, he'll say, yeah, sure, I don't have anything better to do with my time. I'll be happy to do it. Captain America would say it's an imposition. If you could set up a situation in which I got to drink 10 extra espressos and taught 1 yoga lesson, I'd regard myself as pretty much even. I'd regard myself as fairly compensated. But teaching a yoga lesson is about as much a reduction in my well-being as suddenly finding that I won't be able to drink 10 of the espressos that I would normally drink. This is silly. We make it silly to keep your focus on the fact that this is an artificial world, and we will have to work carefully and gingerly when we try to transfer its lessons to the real world. But it is also, because it is a simple world, a place where we can understand how the logic of scarcity and choice plays out crystal clearly. Key to this setup, and this is our complete setup, is this concept of a reservation price. For sellers, it is the price below which, the amount by which you need to be compensated for selling something, the price below which you think you got a really bad deal if you sell. You really, after thinking about it, would rather not have sold at all than to have sold and gotten less than your reservation price in return. And for buyers, the reservation price is the price above which you think you got a really bad deal. It is your willingness to pay. And if you pay more, you really, after thinking about it, would rather not have bought at all. We have our toy situation set up. Now let's consider 3 possible ways of organizing yoga lessons. We might organize who is going to teach and who is going to take yoga lessons through bureaucratic command and control. Some bureaucrat decides how many lessons to offer. Another bureaucrat picks who the yoga teachers are going to be. A third picks who is going to get to take the yoga lesson. A second way we could do it is by relying on thick-tie reciprocity through the already existing social networks in which people are embedded. People do each other favors. People who owe each other for past favors feel that they have an obligation to do something to balance the scales. Perhaps we can use this human desire to balance the scales with respect to those with whom you are already networked in order to get yoga lessons taken and taught. And the third way, of course, is to have a market economy, to set up a whiteboard and to say we're going to have a price of X or so for the teaching of yoga. Who wants to teach? Who wants to take? Those are the 3 ways we're going to try to organize our societal division of labor, our decision as to how many yoga lessons to offer, who should teach them, and who should take them. To simulate bureaucracy, let's pick a random number between 0 and 5. Let's spin the dice, and we come up with a random number of 2. The bureaucrats are going to set up 2 yoga lessons. So the yoga lesson planner hands the task off to the yoga teacher chooser. The yoga teacher chooser looks at the set of possible yoga teachers and chooses 2. Ideally, the bureaucrat choosing who the teachers of yoga are going to be knows a great deal about the skills of individuals, about what their other opportunities are, about the entire social economic situation, and chooses the 2 people to teach yoga who are best for society. In practice, a bureaucrat has paper to shuffle, has too little information, cannot trust the information he or she has, and so simply picks 2 people. Let's suppose they pick Arnold Schwarzenegger and Tyrion Lannister. Arnold says, "That's fine." Tyrion says, "Oh no, what an imposition. This is really something I would really rather not be doing." And another bureaucrat is going to pick 2 yoga students. Ideally, the student-choosing bureaucrat would know the equities and the resources and would pick the 2 people to take yoga lessons who would be best for society to get some inner peace. But the bureaucrat is underbriefed and underinformed and overworked, and so the bureaucrat picks Macklemore and Adam Sackler. What is the outcome of this bureaucratic command and control process? How much does this advance society's total well-being? Well, Macklemore is happy. Macklemore is as happy as if he had gotten to drink 12 extra espresso drinks. Macklemore gets something that he likes quite a good bit, and manages to successfully attain some inner peace. Similarly, Adam Sackler, and if you've seen Adam Sackler's on Girls, you understand Adam Sackler would benefit significantly from getting in touch with his inner self and getting some more inner peace. Tyrion Lannister, however, is annoyed. The bureaucrats have grabbed him and have made him do something he really would rather not do. He's as annoyed as if you came up to him and told him that of the 15 espressos he's planning to drink in the next month, he's going to be able to drink 0. Arnold, by contrast, is kinda meh. Teaching yoga doesn't make him ecstatically happy, but he doesn't regard it as an imposition. It's a reasonable way to spend his time. So now, ladies and gentlemen, to your eye clickers. Let's see how much attention you've been paying and whether, in fact, what I've been saying so far makes any sense at all. So let me ask the question, why is Macklemore happy with this bureaucratic command and control outcome? Is he happy because Wildstyle, whom he dislikes, didn't get to take a yoga lesson and experiences schadenfreude as he gets to do something that makes her jealous and envious? Is he spiteful? Is Macklemore happy because he's being taught by Tyrion, who is a better yoga teacher than he is a student? Is Macklemore happy because he is getting something he values as much as 12 cups of espresso, but because it's a command and control rather than a market price world, he doesn't have to give up anything for it? For him, he's just getting a free yoga lesson, and that's gravy. Is Macklemore happy because Jerry Brown, who doesn't like yoga, doesn't have to take a yoga lesson? And thus Macklemore is happy because someone who he has trust for has managed to avoid an unpleasant outcome? Or is Macklemore happy because he takes a look at Black Widow and sees how happy she is at not having been drafted to teach a yoga lesson? To your eye clickers, tell me what you think, please. And the answer I am looking for is C. That in this setup, people get good things in life. They get the good thing in life of being able to drink espresso and being able to take yoga lessons. And Macklemore gets one of the good things in life as the result of a bureaucratic process, and he is happy as a result. What is the total effect on society as a whole? Well, if we want to be utilitarian and Benthamite about it, if we seek the greatest good of the greatest number, we could say that this allocation process makes Macklemore happy to the tune of, in the hedonic calculus, to the tune of 12 more drinks of espresso, and makes Adam happy to the tune of the amount of 8 more drinks of espresso, and annoys Tyrion. And Tyrion's annoyance we weigh at the equivalent of minus 15 drinks of espresso. So 12 plus 8 is 20, 20 minus 15 is 5. Oops, we have an arithmetic error on the slide. Ignore the last number. Our net hedonic calculus gives us a plus 5 for the net hedonic effect of bureaucratic command and control. Having bureaucrats set up a yoga teaching and student taking process increases society's well-being by as much as if we had 5 extra cups of espresso delivered. Now let's move on to the effects of organizing yoga teaching via thick-tie social network reciprocity. What's going to happen depends on how many potential students there are who have thick ties with and are also currently owed favors by teachers. Once again, we model this process by essentially throwing random numbers because from the viewpoint of an economist at least, whether this social network conforms to what the economist's view of social well-being is indeed somewhat arbitrary. Suppose Black Widow owes Beyoncé a favor for previous things done in society. And suppose Hannah Horvath owes Wildstyle a favor. Well, Black Widow really dislikes teaching a yoga student, but Beyoncé kind of likes being a student. And since Black Widow's under a form of social obligation to Beyoncé, she agrees to teach Beyoncé, even though from an economist's or a Benthamite utilitarian perspective, this transaction doesn't make a great deal of sense. But it's bad manners to whine that the favor that you need to do in order to satisfy your reciprocal obligations is something that costs you an awful lot. So that lesson goes on. Hannah Horvath. Hannah Horvath doesn't mind teaching yoga very much, and she owes Wild Style a favor, and I'll make Wild Style really happy, so that lesson goes on as well. And what is the net hedonic calculus of this thick-tie social network process for the economy as a whole? Well, we have yoga students who are made happier to the tune of the same amount as they'd get by drinking 36 extra cups of espresso. We get yoga teachers who are unhappy to the tune of 30 cups of espresso's worth of utility. The net effect for the hedonic calculus is +6. Like bureaucratic command and control, organizing this part of economic life through thick-tie social network reciprocity is better than a poke in the eye with a sharp stick, but it's not anything to write home about. And notice the pairings. In bureaucracy, if you just take a look at the situation, it's Beyonce and Wild Style who are the people who would really enjoy taking yoga lessons. Yet somehow in this particular case, the bureaucracy isn't able to get it together to assemble and process the information to the effect that those are the two people who really should be taking yoga classes. This is the big problem of bureaucracy. You have to discover the information and move the information to where the decision-making is being made. It is this separation of where in society the information is and where, in order for bureaucratic routine to be satisfied, the information needs to be. That is, I think, the major minus of bureaucracy. Similarly, look at reciprocity. The natural question looking at reciprocity is, where is Arnold? Arnold doesn't mind teaching yoga. There's no downside to putting Arnold into the yoga studio as a teacher. A good societal calculating and allocation mechanism would put Arnold into the yoga studio as a teacher. The problem is that the way the social network has developed in this setup, there are no thick ties of obligation connecting Arnold to any of the potential yoga students. And so there's no way for the social network reciprocity-based kind of organization to get him to where, from an economist's and from a Benthamite utilitarian perspective, he really should be. Now, once again, to your eye clickers, would the bureaucracy be better if it found a way to get Beyonce and Wild Style into the group of students taking yoga lessons? Let me give you 4 options. Option A is yes, of course it would be better. They value it the most. Any society should pursue the greatest good of the greatest number. If you're going to offer 2 yoga lessons, the greatest good is to give it to those who want it the most. Those are the 2. Why are you asking? Or I'll offer you no. Just because they would value the ability to take yoga lessons more than anyone else doesn't mean that they deserve the opportunity. That is, the people who get to be yoga students should be the people who deserve to get to be yoga students. And desert is something that has no necessary connection with subjective value. Let me give you I don't know as a third possibility. And let me also give you D. I'll let you say that you don't think the question makes sense because what's better? I'm asking a question of value, of what ought to be, and yet all I've done is set up a situation in which we have a bunch of statements about what is, about how this economy, this little toy economy, is in fact organized and set up. I need to give you an objective function, that is, a goal for society to attain, and a reason for you to think that this is in fact a sensible goal for a society to attain before you can make statements about what would be better. And I will be happy with any of those 4 answers. if you can defend them, and if you have a coherent rationale for adopting them. To take any of those positions shows that you have been thinking about the issues. But from the narrow-minded economist's Benthamite utilitarian greatest good of the greatest number perspective, both bureaucracy and reciprocity are clearly awful ways to organize the economy. Bureaucracy has one pairing, Macklemore-Tyrion, that is actually value-destroying. Tyrion would rather not teach yoga more than Macklemore would like to take yoga, and so you're making society as a whole poorer by setting up this yoga lesson. Better to do nothing at all. And the utilitarian principle of the greatest good of the greatest number says that when you have a scarce resource, it should go to those who can make the best use of it, who get the most good from it. Beyonce and Wildstyle get the most good from taking yoga. Where are they? Reciprocity has similar problems. The Black Widow-Beyonce pairing makes no sense from a greatest good of the greatest number utilitarian perspective, nor does the absence of Arnold from the teaching line. If anyone is going to teach a yoga lesson, it should be someone for whom it's not an imposition, and it's not an imposition to get Arnold to teach. So is there a system that will get the right people teaching and the right people taking yoga lessons? And the answer is that of course there is a system. If you have a competitive market in which students pay to take yoga lessons and teachers are paid for giving yoga lessons, and if that competitive market finds its stable equilibrium, then you will indeed achieve the greatest good of the greatest number and have a societal calculating mechanism that produces an allocation of yoga teachers and yoga students that is clearly superior, or that is at least clearly superior from a utilitarian, Benthamite, greatest good of the greatest number, narrow-minded economist's perspective. So let's start by saying, what if the price of a yoga lesson is 21? If you get paid 21 espressos, enough money to buy 21 espressos if you teach yoga. Well, at that price, for teachers, everyone except Black Widow will be eager to teach yoga. It seems like a good deal to them. But you'll have 0 students, you'll have an excess supply of 4. 4 potential teachers will show up, but there'll be nobody there to take yoga and nobody to pay them. That's not going to be a stable pattern of social interaction. How about at a price of 1 espresso's worth in order to teach yoga? At that price, we'll have 1 willing teacher, Arnold, but there'll be 5 students. There'll be excess demand of 4. 4 students will go home disappointed. That's not going to be a stable pattern of social interaction either. At a price of 16, we still have 4 teachers. We now have 1 student and 1 student only. We still have an excess supply of 3. That's not going to work. And at a price of 6, we have an excess demand of 2. That's not going to work either. People are going to be disappointed. It is at a price of 11 that we have 3 teachers, Hannah, Arnold, and Captain America, and 3 students, Wildstyle, Beyonce, and Macklemore. All the teachers who show up get students. All the students who show up get teachers. Everyone gives and takes their yoga lessons. Here we have a sustainable pattern of social interaction. And our competitive market has gotten us there. And in fact, our competitive market has gotten us to what seems on utilitarian grounds a very good point. Arnold, who has a reservation price of 0, is paired with Wildstyle, who has a reservation price of 20. 20 units worth of happiness in terms of espressos are generated when Arnold teaches Wildstyle how to get in touch with inner peace. When Hannah teaches Beyonce, we generate 11 extra units of happiness. That's how much Beyonce values taking a yoga lesson more than Hannah minds teaching it. Moreover, all four of these think they've gotten a good deal. Beyonce has gotten 16 units of espresso happiness out of taking a yoga lesson, and she's paid Hannah 11 for the privilege. Beyonce is up thus by +5, and Hannah's up by +6. Admittedly, she isn't so crazy about having had to teach yoga, but she now has enough money to go out and buy 11 more espressos, which from her perspective's a good deal. Arnold's up at +11. He did something he didn't mind at all, and he now has the purchasing power to buy 11 espressos from it. Good deal. Wildstyle, similarly, is up 9. She paid 11 espressos. She got 9 in surplus in the value of yoga to her. And furthermore, the market produces not 2, but 3 yoga lessons. We also have matched Captain America with Macklemore. Macklemore pays 11 espressos to Captain America for a lesson, and both of them are slightly pleased with the deal. The 11 espressos were almost as worth as much to Macklemore as the lesson. He's kind of sad he doesn't get to drink much coffee, but on balance it seems a good deal for him. And the same for Captain America. Add up all of these, and we see that in the net hedonic calculus, from a utilitarian Benthamite greatest good of the greatest number narrow-minded economist's perspective, we're up by 33 units of espresso by setting up the market, by letting the market set up the allocation of yoga lessons this particular way. +33 is a lot more than +6 or +5. On its own terms, the market economy has done well. The market economy has done well because a competitive market equilibrium has a number of very nice properties. First, everyone teaching has a reservation price lower than the market equilibrium price. And because they're paid the market equilibrium price, everyone teaching is happy to teach. Teaching is better for them than doing something else. They're benefiting from the arrangement. Similarly, everyone taking lessons has a higher reservation price, has a higher willingness to pay than the market equilibrium price. Everyone taking yoga lessons is doing so gladly and thinking they got a good deal about it. And every student with a reservation price higher than the market equilibrium price is taking lessons. There are no students who really wish they could take lessons at the market price who can't find teachers. And similarly, every teacher with a reservation price lower than the MEP is teaching. There are no teachers who wish they could teach at the current equilibrium price but can't find students. And the equilibrium price is in a very strong sense the right price. A higher price would have someone teaching somebody else with a lower reservation price than they have, and a lower price would leave a deal to be made, would leave a potential student with a higher reservation price than a potential teacher unmatched. A competitive market equilibrium thus does the very best we can do in terms of making win-win deals. If there's a possible pairing of teacher and student that will produce more for the student than it annoys the teacher, the market will make it, and then the market will transfer purchasing power from the student to the teacher to make both of them think that they got a good deal, that they're better off. Moreover, the market almost enforces itself. If you have a situation in which the market price is wrong, if there's excess supply or excess demand, well, if there's excess supply, then a bunch of potential teachers are going to cut their price and saying they will be willing to teach for less, and so the price will fall. And if there's excess demand, a number of students will say, well, we're willing to bid more than the market price in order to take lessons, and the price will rise. If the price is too low to be equilibrium, it will rise. If it's too high, it'll fall. And so the higgling and haggling of the market all by itself will pretty much settle on what the price is, where supply balances demand. So unlike reciprocity, which requires an entire sociology behind it, and unlike command and control, which requires a bureaucracy and an enforcement mechanism, as long as people understand that their property rights are going to be respected and believe that contracts are going to be fulfilled, the market economy doesn't need any kind of large supporting infrastructure to make it work. Now, I also said back a while ago now that there's questions of fairness surrounding markets. In this particular case, the way we've set things up, Wildstyle and Arnold think the market is an extraordinarily good invention, think it's a great thing. Captain America and Macklemore think it's better than nothing, but nothing special. Black Widow, Tyrion Lannister, Adam Sackler, Jerry Brown, they don't understand the excitement. Black Widow and Tyrion Lannister are at least grateful that they're not being drafted to teach yoga lessons, but the market for yoga lessons doesn't do anything to make them better off, to make them happier. Is it fair that the people who benefit from this are Wildstyle and Arnold? What have they done to deserve to get a good deal out of this system? And what have Black Widow and Tyrion Lannister done so that they don't benefit? This is a good question. I don't have an answer to it right now. I'd like you to think about it.